Hello folks, this is Ron Cross, and of course most of you know who I am. You know about my work in the past. You know that worked on Oklahoma City bombing, for example, as a investigator. I was in the militia in the 1990s, so I went through everything that you could go through back then, being questioned by the feds and all those kind of things. So I have a long experience in this and done a lot of different things, and I try to stay involved. Again, I've worked with people like Jim Tresman, Norm Olson, and for those of you who don't know who they are, for example, Tresman is the lawyer in New York who is fighting the anti-gunners. He's using quite a bit of my research to do so. Norm Olson went before Congress, actually a Senate hearing committee in the 1990s. And so you can look him up on YouTube. In any case, I do a radio show, so I'm trying to do my part. And the other thing that I do is I'm a militia commander for the OKDF. Now, the OKDF is an organization that supports and defends the Constitution, a lot like many of the people in the militia. We're not racist, as you can see. I'm not the normal average white guy, but a lot of people out there think that that's who we are, a bunch of white supremacists, and we're not. Some people may be. It's not what it's about. But what I want to talk to you about is the aspect of being a militia commander. It's not just being a commander, it's what our responsibilities are. Our number one responsibility is going to be to take care of our men and to make sure that they're receiving the proper training that they need in order to do whatever needs to be done when the time comes. Now, I'm not talking about going out when, the stuff hits the fan type scenario. Not only that, but also when there's disaster and a lot of things. So people need to get out there and train. What I really want to talk to you about is support. The most important thing that we have to have is support. Now, a lot of people don't understand that. But let me break it down very, very simple. It's simply this. If you are part of a militia group, then you have a small support team. After all, you have to be able to lay your head down at night. You've got to be able to go and take a bathroom break when needed. And you sure as heck literally don't want to get caught with your pants down now, do you? You want to be able to have people that can share things with you and help you. For example, you run out of water. Hopefully somebody else has water. Or begins to rain, maybe somebody's got some extra rain gear. That is a support system. What we need to do is look beyond our group, our militia group, and begin to look at other groups and what they might offer us. And what I mean by that is maybe they can offer you some type of training, some type of knowledge that you didn't have before, and other skills. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that people are going to need if things go badly. And unfortunately, you can't do it all yourself. And as a militia commander, or any type of a leader, you have to understand that you don't have all the answers. And so therefore, you're going to have to look to other people who have those answers and can provide those answers to you and show you how to do things. And this is what a support system does. Not only does it provide you with goods and services, so to speak, but it enables you to help others. The biggest problem that the Patriot movement has is egos and people who are just ignorant. And when I say ignorant, I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just telling you flat out ignorant, meaning a lack of knowledge. Any of us who've ever been in the military know that the majority of the people in the military are not combat people. For example, in the Army, when I was in, we had combat arms, and then we had other people who did other things. And those people were there to support the combat arms. I mean, there were medical, there were people who made sure the vehicles worked, there were people that made sure that supplies got to where they needed to go and what supplies were in the right supplies. So you begin to understand this, and you make sure that you have the all-important thing. None of this would happen for lack of communications. So what you really need to do, every one of you who watch this video, you really need to take some time out. And I would advise you to get a piece of paper and a pen, whatever you want to write on. And I would ask you to look at what potentially could happen and then ask yourself, what are you going to do in certain circumstances? Now, I am tired, and I've heard it over and over again for 20 years. Well, we're just going to run and gun, and we're going to take the enemy out and take their supplies. Good luck. That isn't going to happen. There's never been a war that I'm aware of that's been won that way. If you go back and you study World War II, you're going to see that both Corregidor and the Bataan March happened when the Army was first engaged by the Japanese. They had the means to defend themselves. Even though the Japanese were more experienced, what they quickly found is they ran out of supplies and they were choked off, and eventually they were forced to surrender. That is going to be your circumstance if you ever get into a combat situation. Why? Because you don't have resupply, you don't have transportation, you don't have people picking up the sick and the injured and moving them to some location. You are going to have to do that. So without all the support, you're going to find yourself in trouble. And the only way that you're going to be able to build a support system is quit being a chicken and being afraid and start reaching out to other people, not only in your state, like we did here with the OKDF and built the OKDF, but across the country. And the only way we're going to be able to communicate across the country is through things like communication. Ham radio, yes, I understand all this stuff can be compromised. I've heard it all. But there are ways to get information across. But you have to have communications. Without communications, nothing happens, which is part of support. I implore you to sit down with this piece of paper and this pen and write down everything that you think you might need. And of course, you're never going to cover it all. And then you need to make another column or another list, and you need to write down everything that can go wrong. Now, some of the things that people commonly overlook are things like pest. For example, what are you going to do if a horde of raccoons finds your food supply? Does it happen? Absolutely. What's going to happen if you're away from your base camp, all of you decide to run and gun, and when you come back everything's gone because some other runners and gunners found your equipment? And now you come back, you have absolutely nothing. There's a lot of things to consider. You can't carry everything you need. You can for a short period of time, maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days. If you're really a badass and you don't need much, maybe a week. But what happens when you trip and you fall and you twist your ankle? Who's going to take care of you? These are things that you need to think about. This is why it's important that you need to get out and you need to train. You need to not know only your limitations, but the limitations of your equipment. Do you have extra parts for your equipment? For example, if you have an AR-15, you should have things like an extra cam pin, a firing pin or retaining pin. There's problems that go wrong with the ejector and the extractor springs. You take apart your bolt and bolt carrier, and if you lose one of those parts, now you have what, a $1,000 club, because you're sure not going to fire it. So, do you have parts? Do you know how to work on the equipment that you have? There's a lot of things that you need to look at and consider. This is why it's important to know other people. For example, everybody has a skill set. You need to learn what it is. Maybe it's gardening, maybe it's working on equipment. It's important that you develop these relationships so that when things go wrong, you're able to get materials and you're able to have people that are able to help you. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. We all help each other. This is why it's so important that we quit being keyboard commandos and thinking that we're secretive and that nobody knows who you are. The problem is, yes, they do. They already know. As I've mentioned before, every phone call, any electronic communications can be monitored. I don't care if you think you have a process that they can't figure out. You're absolutely wrong. They can do it. They have got people in places like the Pentagon and other places that sit around and do nothing but what you are doing, and they're probably much better at it than you, and they have figured out a way to get around it. Now, they may not be able to do it right away, but I guarantee you in time they're going to find out who you are. So quit being paranoid. Get out and train. Try your equipment. Begin to work inside your state and bring people together and make them realize that they need the support system. That no matter what happens, if there's a natural disaster, that you can call on the support system for people to come and help. If it all breaks down and it hits the fan, you're going to need those people. You're going to need them. They're going to need you. Make yourself valuable. Make yourself available to other people. Reach out to other people, not only in your state, but across the country. Learn from them. You'd be surprised what you can learn and do when you work together. For example, I've been working with people in New York, as I mentioned earlier, to help fight what's going on there. They've used some of my research. I don't know what would have happened. Maybe somewhere they'd have got some of the research, but they got it from me. Could they have gotten it from somebody else? Absolutely. But I did my part. You need to get involved and do your part. Ask yourselves, what do you have to offer? And if you don't have something, find something. And then begin to look for other people. You'll never learn it all. I have advisors in other states. The reason that I have those people is so that they can help out not only the OKDF, but that the OKDF in turn can help out. During the recent tornadoes that we had here, The Texas State Militia, God bless those guys, and some others. Michigan, I think, was involved in some of this too. Some places sent us some funds. Some people, again, sent us medical supplies out of their own pocket. They saw the need, they got involved. Not only did the Texas State Militia bring supplies to Oklahoma in the way of a semi and more, but they put boots on the ground. And this is what we need to do. We need to develop those relationships, get out there and work. So when things do go badly, we can support and help one another. This is exactly what we need to be doing. And if you're not doing that, you are setting up a system of failure. And again, to make it simple, your little militia group that you have is all set up on support. You're depending upon those other people. What happens to those people when they're gone? What happens to you? One by one, attrition will get people if things go badly. Whether it's things due to insect bites or snake bites or some sort of infection, or somebody falls down and breaks their neck, drowns, who knows? Things go wrong. And eventually, you're depleted of personnel and support. You need it. So folks, get out there, think about it. Make those lists. Put on that list the things that you think you're going to need. You're never going to be able to cover all. Put what you have to offer and begin to look at that list, and then you'll begin to see the deficits that you really have and the things that you need to work on. And once you do that, and if you're serious about being in the Patriot movement, you'll begin to reach out to other people. We all have to work together. One of the founding fathers said it real best. Gentlemen, if we don't all stick together, we will all hang separately. And that's exactly what we're looking at. Folks, pull together. Let's use our resources. The best resource that the militia movement has is you. That's right, it's you. It's you and it's me and it's everybody in the movement. Everybody has something to offer. Let's not overlook anything. Let's find a place for people. Let's work together. Let's get together. Let's develop relationships. Hey folks, this is Ron Cross. That's my advice. It's what needs to happen. It's what has to happen. God bless you all, and thank you for watching this video.